Hey everybody, Harv here. Let's continue our lecture into World War II. So, when we last left off, we talked about the attack on Pearl Harbor and how the United States had stopped exports to Japan to kind of stop their aggression in Asia. And in response and retaliation, the Japanese on December 7th, 1941, are going to attack the United States. A day later, Roosevelt and the United States will declare war on Japan. And a couple days after that, we see Germany and Italy declare war on the United States. So the United States is involved in World War II. Here's a picture of the USS Arizona Memorial. You can visit this today. It's kind of a remnant of that Pearl Harbor attack. And here is a picture of the attack on Pearl Harbor. So, by 1942, it is quite clear that Germany, Italy, Japan are winning the war. I mean, just take a look at the map. But the United States entering the war is a game changer. It's a game changer because the United States has an enormous industrial capacity. The United States, even though it's in the Great Depression, has a lot of economic potential. And that's and I talked about in the last lecture, that was what Yamamoto was warning Japan about. But the United States, and that's what the United States is going to play a key role in the war, is the United States is just going to make a lot of stuff. Bombers, tanks, uniforms. It's going to produce a lot of food. That's going to be really helpful for the war effort. At the height of the war, the United States can be able to make a bomber in an hour. That's pretty remarkable in certain factories. And so the role that the United States is going to play in this war is the United States is simply just going to be able to make more stuff than Germany, Italy, and Japan. And while they lose materials, they lose tanks, they lose airplanes, they're not going to be able to replace it at the same pace that the Allies will, and that's going to be because of the United States. Now, when the Japanese, ladies and gentlemen, attacked Pearl Harbor, they didn't just attack Pearl Harbor in those opening days of the war in the Pacific. They attacked the Philippines. They're going to attack, other various islands in Asia. And by 1942, their empire was enormous, and we're going to take a look at it on the map. But the attack on Pearl Harbor was a really big mistake by the Japanese. And it was a big mistake because Hitler was so successful in Europe. Many historians believe that the Japanese had simply, turned around and just supported Hitler with the Soviet Union and attacked in the east, kind of by Siberia, that the Soviets would have fallen. And I believe that's true. But by bringing in the United States, now the Japanese, Germany, and Italy had to contend with Great Britain and their navy, the Soviets and their huge army, and that vast their vast landmass, and the United States and their industrial capacity. And these countries, the Allies, Great Britain, the Soviets, and the United States, in this uneasy alliance. Remember that the Soviet Union does not trust them at all, and it's going to be important for us with the Cold War. The Axis powers, Hitler, Italy, and Japan are just simply aren't going to be able to overcome the Allies and all their attributes. All right, so there's going to be two major theaters of battle. We're going to have Europe and the Pacific, and the question that I want to pose to you all is, where do you think the United States is going first? All right, Europe or the Pacific? Conventional wisdom might lead us to think that, the United States, because they were attacked by the Japanese, they're going to go to the Pacific first. That is wrong. The United States is going to go to Europe first. And that was because Winston Churchill and Roosevelt have been in communication for so long. Remember, Winston Churchill really needed the United States' support, was begging for it. And the Roosevelt knew how dire the situation was in Europe with Germany, and how they had to stop Hitler first. And so that is where we're going to see the United States kind of go first. They're going to really just try to hold off the Japanese and kind of just play on the defensive a little bit. But we are going to see, um, you know, uh, the United States focus on Hitler first. So here's a map of the Japanese Empire in the Pacific. As you can see, it was quite extensive. All right, here's Midway, and we're going to talk about this battle in a second. All right, but the Japanese, they took over the Philippines, Guam. They took over the Dutch East Indies partially in order to get their raw materials. French Indochina, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia. All right, they had a huge empire. But we are going to see this eventually all go away. All right, so here's our combatants by 1942. As you can see, Germany has taken over quite a bit of territory. Italy as well. Japan, Bulgaria, Hungary. And our allies with our new combatant, the United States. All right, so we're going to start to see the tide slowly turn, okay? And one big battle in the Pacific that is going to really stop the Japanese momentum will be the Battle of Midway. Now, the Battle of Midway is really important because, and I showed you that island, because the United States is going to destroy a key element of the Japanese Navy. It will be some of their carriers. They're going to take out 4 of them, which is really important because the Japanese can't produce ships as quickly as the United States. And so this is what it's going to do is cripple Japanese naval superiority in the Pacific. Now, you all might be saying, Harv, wait, the Japanese, didn't they wipe out the United States Pacific Fleet at the Battle of Pearl Harbor? The answer is yes, but the Japanese made a key mistake there, and Yamamoto knew it, was that they did not get the United States aircraft carriers. They got their battleships, for sure, and they took out a significant portion of cruisers and destroyers, absolutely, but they did not get the carriers. And remember, warfare has changed when it comes to naval warfare. You don't see these big battleships just duking it out and shooting each other. Aircraft and aircraft carriers are vital because aircraft can go out, for 200 to 300 miles, reach out and attack ships very quickly. And so in this Battle of Midway, the United States is going to cripple the Japanese aircraft carrier forces in the Pacific. And how Midway went down was simply the United States cracked the Japanese code, knew that the Japanese were going to attack Midway, and they laid an ambush for them. And they were able to sink those Japanese carriers. A huge battle, probably the biggest battle ever in humanity, arguably, is the Battle of Stalingrad. And that battle is going to lead to a Russian victory. And an entire German army is going to be destroyed at this Battle of Stalingrad. It was a vicious battle. More Russians died in this battle than in every single than all the American casualties in every single war in United States history put together. That just shows you how many Russians how many Russians sacrificed themselves and died in this battle. And I think Stalingrad has been renamed Volgograd. It's in the southeast, kind of northeast of the Crimea. If you look at it on the map. But this is going to be a huge turning point on the Eastern Front with the Russians and the Germans. By November of 1942, we're going to see the Allies start to control North Africa. That by controlling North Africa, that's going to help them control the Mediterranean. And by 1943, we're going to see the Allies start to move in and take out Italy. Okay. Also in 1943, we're going to see the Allies initiate their bombing campaigns on Germany and Italy. And what this is to do is to cripple their industrial output, to make it harder for them to replace planes, to make it harder for them to produce, ammunition, to make it harder to produce tanks. It's going to be very successful because by about 1945, the Allies are simply going to be bombing Germany at will, and they're going to obliterate Germany. Okay, Germany is still today finding bombs that that some of them that never exploded from World War II. They're going to drop tons of bombs on Germany. And that's going to be a key reason why Germany loses the war. All right, but here's a picture of the Battle of Stalingrad. Vicious fight, house to house, street by street. Um, it was awful. It was awful. Cold. There's going to be starvation. A brutal, unimaginable fight between the Soviets and the Germans. But by 1944, we're going to see the Germans be pushed out of the Soviet Union. We're going to see the Soviets be pushing into German territory. Very important for us in the Cold War, because we are going to see with the Cold War, the Soviets are not going to want to give up all this territory that they take as they push Germany west, as they come from the east. And so that's what we're seeing right here, is kind of the Cold War starting to form. Okay, and another picture of Stalingrad. Just take a look at that. You can see, the city is obliterated. Okay, but it was street to street, house to house, awful, awful, awful conflict. Okay, so we're seeing a big change. North Africa, okay, has gone to the Allies. All right, we're seeing the Soviets start to push the Germans west. Okay, they're coming from the east, and this is eventually going to be our Iron Curtain of the Soviet Union. All right, what we're seeing here, ladies and gentlemen, is the kind of the foreshadowing of our our Iron Curtain in the Cold War. Okay. Excuse me, I'm a little sick. So here we see North Africa slowly being taken over by the Allies, and they're gonna come on up, take out Italy, and really that means that all they have left to deal with in Europe is going to be Germany. Okay. All right, here's the map in 1943. All right, so we're going to see the Nazis be defeated. A big event leading to the opening of a second front is going to be D-Day, June 6, 1944. We're going to see the Allies land at Normandy, and we are going to see kind of the beginning of France being liberated, and the end of the war. Okay, huge invasion. This is considered the largest human invasion by water. Okay, I believe that the largest human invasion ever is the Nazi initial attack on the Soviet Union. But this was big. Okay, and this is the beginning of the removal of the Nazis from France. Before at midnight, before like the dawn attack, paratroopers were dropped behind enemy lines to kind of disrupt communications, disrupt logistics, and to kind of really just disrupt the enemy and confuse them before the fighting took place. All right, with paratroopers. All right. And at dawn, thousands of ships are going to carry, hundreds of thousands of troops across the English Channel, and it was successful. All right, and France will be free from the Nazis by September 19th. So we, slowly our map is turning green. Okay, here's some pictures from D-Day. Pretty remarkable. All right, and you can just see there was a wall of gunfire. I believe this picture was taken from Omaha Beach. The average lifespan for a soldier on Omaha Beach was about 6 to 7 seconds in the opening waves. Pretty brutal fight on D-Day. The night before D-Day went down, Eisenhower cried because he knew he was going to send so many soldiers to their deaths, and it was a pretty big fight. One of the reasons why D-Day is going to be successful, though, is going to be because of deception, and that's something that we can talk about a little bit in class. And also, the Nazis were so worried about upsetting Hitler that they didn't wake him up until about noon that day. And if Hitler had woken up early when that attack went off at about 6 or 7 in the morning, he would have been able to move Rommel's Panzer Division. That probably would have been able to stop the invasion. But Hitler is not going to wake up early enough, and the Allies will be successful. Okay. All right. So, by about December of 1944, the Germans are going to attack one last time with the Battle of the Bulge, but that's not going to work. And by about March of 1945, April, the war will be over. April, Hitler's going to commit suicide, and Germany will surrender. Okay, and that will be known as VE Day. Now, we're going to see the United States embark on this island hopping campaign. They're going to go from strategic island to strategic island to strategic islands, okay, to strategic island, okay? This is mainly just so they could attack the mainland of Japan, okay? Let's talk about the fall of the Japanese Empire, okay? Japan, with that island hopping campaign and losing their navy, is really going to run out of steam, all right? And the United States is going to be faced with a decision on what to do. Either invade Japan or they have a brand new weapon, which we're going to talk about, which is the atomic bomb. So they're going to drop 2 atomic bombs on Japan, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And what an atomic bomb is, and I'll kind of get into it, is an atomic bomb is a new kind of weapon. Albert Einstein was really critical to the development of this bomb. The project was called the Manhattan Project. But the atomic bomb essentially is a bomb where you can create the power of the sun for a split second on Earth. Okay, just imagine if our sun just appeared right, next to you or a mile away for, a split second. It's a lot of power, a lot of heat, but also a lot of radiation. Okay, and it's just a lot of power, and that's what an atomic bomb does. Okay, so the United States, in order to get the Japanese out of the war, is going to drop 2 atomic bombs on Japan, one in Hiroshima, one on Nagasaki. Okay, and a few days later, we will see Japan surrender. Okay. Now, the Manhattan Project was the project to create the atomic bomb, and the main justification that the Allies are going to use for dropping the bomb is to save American lives. Many military officials, predicted that it would take about 1 million American lives, 1 million soldiers would die, in order to take Japan, in order to make them surrender, and so that's going to be a main reason why. Now, before using the bomb, the United States warned Japan and asked Japan to surrender. Japan didn't know we had the bomb; they ignored the warning, and the United States is going to use it. Now, another reason, though, I want to go look at the map. Another reason why, though, that's kind of becoming more hypothesized and more well known as documents start to emerge and as historians, study this Hiroshima and Nagasaki and the end of the war more, is also the impending Cold War. Take a look at who is right next door to Japan. Okay, this was also, ladies and gentlemen, kind of a warning to the Soviet Union. I think there's a helicopter coming around. This was a warning to the Soviet Union. Hey, we have this bomb. You don't have it. Please don't. Please don't mess with us. Okay, and and that is becoming more and more regarded as a reason of why the United States decided to drop those 2 atomic bombs. And it was kind of, get Japan out of the war, but also, hey, Soviet Union, we know we're not friends, even though we're allies right now against the Nazis. Hey, step back, or we have these bombs, okay, and we could have a fight. Okay? All right? So, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, all right, August 6, 1945, Hiroshima. Here's a picture I took when I was in Japan myself. All right, I think the Hypa Center where the bomb was dropped was just over here. Kind of, it's really heartbreaking being there. Just how many innocent people died. And that's a discussion that we're gonna have in class. Was the atomic bombings justified? Why or why not? And talk about it. Here's some pictures. Okay, here's an actual uniform of someone who of someone who was there, And the bomb literally just melted your skin, just melted people. Okay, terrible. Here's a picture from what President Obama wrote. I believe he wrote, "We have known the agony of war. Let us now find the courage together to spread peace and pursue a world." I can't see that. I think rid or that doesn't have nuclear weapons. Okay, another picture of the bomb. Nagasaki. Okay, that bomb will be called the Fat Man. All right, and here's a picture of where the bomb fell. It was like right over here, right above that. This is the hypocenter in Nagasaki. And there's a model of the bomb. You can just see the devastation that it caused the human body. Terrible. Okay, so as you can see, Japan is out, Soviet Union right here. That's a reason. That's a reason of why I I believe personally that the United States dropped that bomb on Japan. Okay, it was to really, and a lot of historians are writing about this now. To the United States is going to drop those bombs in order to not just get Japan out of the war, but also to scare the Soviet Union. Okay. Now, another key portion of World War II is going to be the Holocaust. All right. A huge pillar of Nazi ideology was racism, right, against all non-Aryan peoples, Slavs, Jews, Gypsies, the LGBTQ plus community. Okay, and Hitler envisioned, a fate for the Jews, and that was part of his final solution was to exterminate them, and he killed, um, millions. He killed millions. He killed 88% of all Polish Jews. Excuse me, sorry, all Polish Jews, during the war. Um, and so this is also going on. Many historians believe that if Hitler had not focused so much of their material, manpower, infrastructure on the Holocaust, that probably could have helped him win in some certain areas of the war, especially on the Eastern Front. Um, but this is going on during the war. Okay, um, so the Polish Jews were definitely hit hard during the Holocaust. Um, we're gonna see, with that joint German-Russian invasion of Poland, millions of Jews are now going to be under the control of the Nazis. All right, um, and we're gonna see in many Jews throughout Europe, not just in Poland, but throughout Europe, be taken to work camps, concentration camps, and death camps. And by 1945. Millions of Polish Jews had been killed. Okay, approximately 6 million Jews were murdered in the Holocaust. Terrible, terrible. Okay, and a question that we're going to talk about in class, but that I want to pose to you is that there's many explanations of the Holocaust, and and people ask this simple question: Are humans evil? Or is this a an episode of just one instance of evil, or are humans evil? Like, how could humans do something like this to another human or an entire population? And why? How can humans do this? And it's just really interesting because after the war, you're gonna have a lot of intellectuals really really think about the Holocaust and really try to understand it. And that question is, are humans bad? Are humans evil? And it's really interesting. Okay, you know, So that's something just really interesting to think about. Okay, a picture of a camp. All right, and a picture of some of the figures that we have during this time. Terrible. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I will put up my last lecture later, and we will stop here for today. Thank you so much.